Welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast, the podcast that can tell the Rangers result just from the Seethe. This week on Heart and Hand, and this is what they're like after one Rangers win. One! So welcome to Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name's David Edgar and I am your host as always. But I'm joined this week by two of my favourite podders, my A-team, if you will, because it's first of all Mr. Andy McGowan.
Hello David, hello listeners.
And Mr. Alex Staff.
Good evening all.
So lads, let's get right to it. Scottish football is in meltdown because Rangers have won. And their fans are apparently rampaging through the streets of Ayrshire like angry Visigoths on tour. And it's as if it's never went away, Andy.
It's getting predictable now. It's actually getting so predictable that it's water off a duck's back to me personally. And I think most of the Rangers support are starting to just become relatively immune to it. It's a tsunami of double standards, hypocrisy, willful ignorance and undeniable bias. So it's just a tide you can't stem. It's becoming so ridiculous, actually, I think, that people can see through it. Any reasonable person can see through it, and if you can't see through it, you are one of the problem people, so to speak.
Alex?
I would agree with that. I'm actually just really looking forward to how it's going to ramp up. As you pointed out, 1-1, a last-minute win against Kelly when everybody thought, same old Rangers as last season, dropping points away at Rugby Park, can't handle it anymore. They had the headlines just waiting, didn't they?
They did.
About how Gerard hadn't improved, the team hadn't improved, etc., etc. We get the win, yes, as I said, the closer and closer we get to 55, I can't wait. It's almost like a social experiment. I want to see exactly what happens because there's no other country in the world where it would have been this nuts.
No, and this is why I, like Andy said, I'm just a little bored of it, and it's why I don't really pay it that much attention anymore. Call it numbness, if you like, or irritation fatigue is probably another way of putting it. Years ago, when this stuff would start in the media, and I was in the trust, and we would fight back against it, and the argument would go, and it would be a ding dong. And over the last few years, I've taken a step back, and I've thought, what are we fighting against? Because nobody is neutral. There are no neutrals out there. I think we used to assume that that's who we were trying to get this out to. There are people in Scotland who love us, and there are people in Scotland who hate us, and that's pretty much it. There are, I'm sure, people who manage to get through their life without caring about football at all, and best of luck to them. Probably more sane than the rest of us, but it's exactly the same stuff. Lonely Bill Leckie, our old friend, managed to stop running through the rain in his Converse and smart shirt for 20 minutes or so to pen an article he's written 9,000 times about how Rangers are all horrible, proddy bastards and the world should hate them. He's got that in the chamber. It's loaded and ready to be fired. And these articles come out when Rangers win because they've got to put a negative slant on it because they have so abased themselves in the eyes of the Rangers support that they don't have that as an audience anymore. So their audience tend to come from one support in the main, or at least from supports who have bitten into this, who've fed into the whole Rangers bad mentality of the last decade. But now I'm of the opinion of let them. Right, they're not going to like us. They're not going to change their mind. But with the best will in the world, screw them. It doesn't matter. It's about us. You've got your options to get your media from us, from the club, from other Rangers content. Ignore them. I mean, they're not going to change. And when they start up with their symphony of simple moronicness, then just simply go, you know what, fine, knock yourselves out. Oh, aye, the singing and stuff. You see it at the weekend. Celtic fans unfurl a banner containing a certain word, not even mentioned about it. Rangers fans sing a song with the same word. Everyone goes mental. It's the end of the world. Why do we put up with this? Whether Alba, somebody put the children inside, all this shit. And I'm just like, You don't care. These people, Leck, etc., they don't care. They've never cared about sectarianism it's never been an issue to them. It's just, who do I need to hit with a stick to get a paycheck? And currently it's Rangers. So if you're a Rangers fan, laugh at them, give them the fingers, enjoy the win and move on. Don't let them upset you. They're trying to upset you. Get about with your life as it is. And that's not to say we're not going to look at things that happened at the end of the game yesterday. Andy was there. Andy, of course, is the convener of the fun bus. And we will get his take on what was a worrying situation for supporters outside the ground. But unlike the majority of the Scottish media, we actually do care about the game of football. So let's get into that. Alex, wasn't a great performance. It really wasn't. Let's cards on the table here. But I think the significance of this victory could be enormous because you've already touched on it. This is not a result Rangers proved themselves capable of pulling off last season. And by that, I mean playing badly and winning. We didn't do that very often. Rangers had to play well to get 3 points last year. That was, I think, one of the problems. If we dropped to 60-70%, we tended to drop points. And we couldn't win at Kilmarnock full stop. So psychologically, to lose that late goal, which I think because of the scar tissue of last season, the last few seasons, we were, as a support, sitting there going, they're going to score, they're going to score. I knew it, this is what always happened. And then they managed to flip the script.
It was nice to see. You take those little moments when you get a setback. That's what you look for, isn't it? Is the reaction. Last season, I was trying to remember. I mean, you gentlemen may have a better memory of it than me, but I can't think of any game last season aside from St Johnstone away where we scored a late winner. We scored late goals, but none that were turning 1 point into 3. Aside from that St Johnstone game where we came back from 1-0 down in the second half and Morelos scored the 2. It didn't happen very often, and it was a legitimate question because hell, even Mark Warburton's team was capable of that, right? And that's, teams do it normally over the course of a season, and the teams that are at the top of the league and tend to need to do it find ways to do it, and we weren't able to do that. So that was the biggest positive. The performance itself, I think if it hadn't came hot in the heels of progress away, where we rather went through the motions, we might not have been quite as negative about it. But I'm willing to slightly overlook it because somehow Kelly have managed to relay their pitch and make it even worse.
Yeah,
I didn't expect that. I don't know how that happened. And it slowed the game right down, suited them because obviously they spent the vast majority of the match 30 yards away from their own goal, every player behind it, and it was easier to play that way than it was for us to try and move the ball quickly and get through them. So, this was one of those ones where, one of those games, David, and I said this on the day, we all say, we'll take a rubbish win every time as long as we get the win. We sure as hell don't like living through it though, do we?
No, it's not a fun 90 minutes. Well, that's unfair, actually. I thought it was a fun 45. The problem for me, Andy, wasn't the first half. Rangers were fantastic, but we controlled the game. We took the game over. And to me, we built ourselves a platform to go on and dominate the game in the second half. We had done the hard work. We'd won control of the places that mattered. But in the second half, we sort of stopped doing that. Best summed up by a moment with about 15 minutes to go where Scott Arfield, James Tavernier, and I think it was Joe Aribo find themselves all standing together, sort of looking at each other, not moving on the right-hand touchline. And to me, Rangers just sort of forgot kind of what they were trying to do a little bit. It wasn't like we were ferociously leaping into tackles to ward them away from our goal 30 yards away from it. It wasn't that, but nor were we streaming forward trying to get the victory. I thought Rangers, for want of a better word, with about 20 minutes to go in that second half, looked a little confused.
I'm not going to try and say we played well yesterday, but what I will say is that we completely controlled the game, and I think, and this is only my opinion, I may be completely wrong here, but I thought going into the last 20 minutes, because there was a wee bit of discontent on our end at the fact that we were kind of taking the foot off the pedal and sitting on the lead. I think we were waiting for them to come out, and they weren't coming out. And the fact that Jordan Jones and Stewart didn't come on to lay it on, especially Jordan Jones, was purely down to the fact that they weren't coming out. And for as long as they weren't coming out, I don't think Gerrard was sitting there saying, well, we need to take the game to them. I think he was waiting for the moment. They made a change, come out to us, and then it would open up things potentially for us. So I think that's where the confusion came. I did feel in the game, in the heat of the moment, that we were tempting fate, and it was proven to be the case. I thought the wee incident you were talking about, David, there, where it was Jack and Davis and somebody else.
Jack Davis and Tavernier.
Aye, and they were basically doing a wee triangle between themselves without any pressure and stopped the game in effect. I thought it was surreal. I thought it was strange, and I think that's why they were thinking, well, we're on top here, you come out on us. And that was the pattern for most of the game. We were waiting for Command to come out, and we were trying to be patient to pick them off. And really the only difference between a really comfortable win yesterday and the actual kind of scrape we got is, I think, a wee bit of quality in the final third. Now, I know that sounds dead obvious for any football team in any football match, but I thought Arfield, more often than he should have, it was lacking in his final layoff, touch, threaded ball, whatever it is, and I know that's a hard thing to do. I thought Greg Stewart would have been better suited to that kind of position yesterday. I thought Ojo was well off the pace and offered very little. These are the kind of players that you're looking to add the wee bit of cutting edge to that overall performance yesterday. I thought, looking back now, I wouldn't have said this after the game yesterday, but looking back and having watched that game last night and watched the highlights again today, I thought there was a foundation there that we should be pretty comfortable about, and it was only a matter of cutting edge. And I'm hoping that comes with the players we've got, or potentially with somebody else who's to come in.
Alex, Andy touched upon something there, which was that yesterday our front line didn't really work. I thought Morelos, especially in the first half, did really well. I thought he battered the Kilmarnock defenders, but he didn't receive much support. Scott Arfield got the goal, but it wasn't one of his better games. I think Scott Arfield has come back tired from his exertion with Canada in the Gold Cup, and we're maybe waiting on him getting fully back up to speed from that. Ojo, not the first player to go to that park and think, what the is this that I've wandered onto? It's the size of a postage stamp, and it appears to be made out of sand and green baize. But neither of them really contributed much. Alfie got more and more, I thought, lost a little bit because they were so far away from him. Something, though, that was a problem, but I'm going to turn that negative into a positive, as they tell you to do in seminars these days. And that's, we saw the solution to it late in the game, which was, I didn't like the balance of the midfield. I thought that Joe Aribo was too deep far too often. I don't want to see him coming back and taking balls off the toes of Goldson and Katic. But when he pushed forward, and Rangers did get the balance, and maybe it was in desperation, but two shots that forced two superb stops, already something that we can see he's got in his locker that we didn't have last season.
Yeah, this is going to be a bugbear for a lot of people over the course of the season, because it's pretty clear that we are using our midfield three to shield the two centre-halves, which will allow the two full-backs to get forward and allow the forward three to stay higher up the pitch. That's supposed to be the plan. The issue being that when you're playing on a pitch that slow, and you have to get it, because ultimately we want to get the ball in quick to guys like Arfield and Ojo and isolate them, not have 6 or 7 players between them and the opposing goal, cut that down, get them 1v1 situations and things like that. That's why the game suited Morelos a bit more than it would have somebody like Defoe, for example, who would have been about link-up play, whereas Morelos, being the battering ram that he is, was loving that pitch, because the ball was holding up everywhere and he was able just to get his body in the way and kind of be quite effective. So, yeah, all of that's the reasons why I'm not too critical of it yesterday. I don't feel as though the game was a fair reflection on how we're going to try and be. But the midfield thing's going to be an issue, because we are very much using them to shield. It's how we finished last season, with Kamara, Jack and Davis as the three. And none of the three are naturally... Davis more so than the others, but he plays deeper now, naturally attacking players now. They can do a job there, but they're mainly there to let the other 5, the 2 fullbacks and the 3 forwards, do their job. So I've got a funny feeling this midfield debate is going to come up more than once, David. Aribo at least offers, at least he offers both. There was times yesterday where he was just snatching in, just tracking back and snatching in, taking the ball off people when they were trying to hit us in the break, and he made it look so simple.
He's brilliant. He doesn't dive into tackles. He just stands up, waits for the guy to, complete whatever fanning about he's going to do, and then takes the ball.
Yeah, it's something that looked so simple. It was it was. It was just too easy. And then, as you say, very unlucky. The first shot, obviously, a bit of luck for it to fall to him. I actually thought he could have hit that a bit better, but the second one, he was almost wheeling away in celebration. That was a cracking save, which obviously led to the second goal. But yeah, I think this is going to come up a lot. We've already got people saying that we can't be playing both Davis and Jack in these games. We played our best football last season with the Davis Jack Kamara free. I just think that we need to. It's hard to judge in the moment, and maybe that'll prove to be the case. But maybe yesterday was the sort of game Greg Docherty needed to be involved in, with the way that pitch was. Forget about the passing, just batter through people.
Surprised not to at least see him on the bench yesterday, if I was being honest, because I thought we could have done with that option. As you say, somebody will just get the ball and go, right, I'm going with it, and it won't be pretty. And what I would also offer in evidence was Jordan Jones. When he came on, I thought he did make a difference, because look, Jordan Jones is the type, he's not going to glide past players. He gets the ball and he runs at them, and quite a lot of the time the ball's going to bounce off them and go out for a throw, or they're going to take it off him. I get that, but one, that forces the defence back because they know he's going to do it constantly, and secondly, it's when he does get through that he causes problems. And I thought that direct play, not the link up, which the better players, the Arfields and the Ojos will do, but I thought that direct, if you like, straightforward, a little bit more blood and toil than it is skill and insight, was maybe what was needed yesterday. And we gave away a terrible goal, which we did. Stupid free kick, the gaffer alluded to it, knocked in back post, defence gets under it, and Alfredo Morelos loses his man. Good finish from the fullback O'Donnell, but I will give Rangers credit from that, because I saw a few times last season, and this really disappointed me, and it's on old pods folk if you want to go back and listen to it, that there were games, and I can think of a couple against Kilmarnock, that when we got to the last 10, 15 minutes, even the last 5 of these matches, we had sort of given up, that we didn't think we were going to score. Whereas yesterday we forced 2 great stops from the goalkeeper and get the winner. That pleased me, and I'm not saying it would have pleased me had we not got the winner, but it would have, in the cold light of day, at least been better than, I think last season the team had a tendency to meekly accept its fate, that it didn't yesterday.
That's absolutely right. Last season, we lost belief pretty easily, to be quite honest with you. And if we'd lost a goal with 10 minutes to go in these circumstances, like most of last season, there was no way we're coming back for it. I mean, was it half an hour to go at the first game at Kilmarnock, the first game of 2019 at Kilmarnock, when they equalised, or they scored the second goal, with half an hour to do something and nothing happened. But what I would say is, I think the key thing this year, and it's something I've been harking on about, because you, Alex, we are old enough to remember Richard Gough challenging his fellow centre-half to a goal challenge, basically, to see how many goals in a season they could get. And we've lacked that. And I've always thought that if you're going to be a genuine title-challenging team, games like this can sometimes be decided by a good set piece, a good free kick, or sheer will in the box. And that's what we got yesterday. We got good delivery when it counted, and we got the sheer raw aggression between Katic and Golson, which our good friend Kirk Broadfoot and Finlay could not handle. And that proved to be the winner. So I was absolutely delighted to see us score 2 goals that were basically set pieces, because even on Thursday against Niederkorn,
I never want to hear that name ever again.
Sorry.
It was just the worst frigging game of football. And I'm glad we're through and we did what we had to do, and I wasn't as overtly critical as anybody else. But for part of this, for the site folks, I have to watch the games back. And watching that second time round was appalling.
Especially the first 45 minutes.
Oh. And I get what they were doing, incidentally. They were conserving energy for the bigger game at the weekend. And Alex, I think you and I both commented on this last week, where we said we won't judge the Niederkorn result until the Kilmarnock one comes in, because it was just about getting through, and if we get through and get 3 points on Sunday, then all good. Let's move on, kind of thing. Concerns though that maybe Rangers are a little bit lacking in that final third. You touched on it yourself. I get the impression from Shea Ojo that he is a bit of a kind of mercurial player, that he's not constantly involved a la Arfield guy. He's more the type that will spend large parts of the match not really contributing, but is capable of doing the really special things that are hopefully the match-winning things. Does that sound like a fair appraisal?
Well, yeah, at the moment it does. I think that the biggest issue he's got right now is that Ryan Kent finished the season so well and he's kind of replacing him. And you've got all the similarities, don't you, coming in loan from Liverpool, etc. We can't seem to get Ryan Kent back as things stand. But if people really cast their mind back to the start of last season, Kent had more than a few performances as well where he seemed on the kind of edge of the game and was a bit frustrating. With him in the team, we never managed to beat Kelly in the league. So, it wasn't as though he was, losing him was this huge difference. He wasn't much of a goal scorer either at that stage. And you kind of hoped if we were to bring him back that everything would improve that way. Ojo looks... So far, I've been impressed by him for the most part so far. But obviously, yesterday, I think you were right, David. I don't think he had any clue what the hell was going on with that pitch. It's his first taste of Scottish football, really. So he's not going to be the first or last player to take a few games to get used to that, is he? I think you described it once in one of the post-match pods, David. He's going to be a player that will frustrate many people because he'll do next to nothing in a game and then pop up with an absolute peach of a goal. Kind of what he done in the Progress home game to many extents. So he's I think he's burdened by the comparisons to Kent, where the Kent that we had by the end of the season was much better than the one that started it, and you have to hope that Ojo will do the same.
Andy, you mentioned their centre backs. Now Niko Katic got the header for the Scott Arfield's goal, and then of course Connor Goldson with a brilliant header. If you are sort of my generation, then that is what you love. It was a centre back shrugging off an egg fetishist twat to I'm getting that, and when I get there I'm going to put everything onto it, and there's no way it goes right past the keeper in terms, it's just too powerful. It was a great header, a good proper old centre half Gothian header. But I've been really, really impressed with Niko Katic this pre-season, and maybe, and I'll hold my hand up to this, maybe I'm one of these guys who just likes him, and I know there's a lot of Rangers fans do, but I think he's turning in really decent performances. And yesterday again, I thought he was probably the pick of the defenders.
I've liked Katic for the first moment I saw him. I thought he had a bit about him. I think mentally and... how can I put it, the old winning mentality that Souness used to talk about, he has that in abundance. I think he's got the mindset to play for a big club, and I think he knows he's got a challenge in his hand, because obviously there's 4 top centre-halves now that are going to be vying for positions here. And I think that he's trying to give himself a unique selling point, in that he is by far and away our most dangerous defender, probably our most dangerous player altogether in the opposition box at set pieces. And it goes back to what I was saying a wee minute ago about set pieces and their importance for breaking deadlocks and games like that. That could be the deciding factor, that if all 4 are fit and Gers to make a decision, he may be sitting there saying, well, Katic could be useful in these positions, because defensively we might not get tested that much today, but at the other end it's going to be stuffy, it's going to be tight, we need a wee bit more in our armoury for these kind of things. So I thought last season Goldson and Katic at the start of the year were pretty good and dovetailed together for a couple of players that just joined Rangers and hadn't played together before. I thought they were pretty fantastic all through the early European rounds. And I think Worrell came in and there was a definite difference in dynamic in the centre-halves. So I have no concerns about Katic whatsoever here, now, in the future. And I think it's a very, very good problem we've got, in that we've got 4 good centre-halves, because Edmondson impressed against that team you don't like to mention, and you're not going to spend £3.5 million on a Swedish international centre half and them not be competent. So we have got extreme strength and depth the first time in that position for a long, long time, and that can all be a good thing.
Alex, he mentioned it there. Andy mentioned it there, that we've got this competition for places in that back four, and already I think we're seeing slightly different strength. I'd suggest that Goldson is pretty much nailed on for a place. Stephen Gerrard speaking yesterday, and I'm not debating, folks, whether or not that's right. I'm just saying this is what I think is the case, which he said he's a vice captain for a reason. He's a leader, and I thought, yeah, he's playing, and it's him +1 generally. We'd assume it would be Helander because the money that was spent on him. But even already, we haven't seen much Helander, so he's hard to judge. But Edmondson looks as though he's a bit quicker than the other two in terms of the recovery tackle and a better user of the ball. So it looks that it could well be a horses for courses job here, because there will be games where you're not as concerned about the defensive side of things, but you need somebody that can bring the ball out quickly from the back, which would seem to favour Edmondson. You might look at games and think that we're going to be right up against it today, so we need the guys that are the best defenders, etc., etc. It's a lot of options, maybe in a position that we are not, as a support, kind of used to having options. We are generally, they're the first two and then they're the backup.
Yeah, and we kind of, and then what happens when one of the first two is injured or suspended? We all have a collective shiting ourselves, don't we, going into any sort of game because we've got to bring in whoever. So, well, then again, it's not that long ago that even our first two had us collectively shiting ourselves quite a bit. Yes, it's nice to see. I think what people, I don't know if it's maybe just ourselves, if it's Scottish football fans in general, we've never really got used to this idea of rotation at centre half. It's never been something that was done in the past. And even when rotation did kick in, even when Walter Smith had a team that he rotated a bit, he tended to try and ask his centre halves to play 60 games a season together. And then you look at somebody like Gerrard's trying to emulate Liverpool. Right? He knows he's never going to get a team here that's going to be as good as that, but he wants to have that mindset, that elite mindset at Rangers. And you look at them, and it's pretty much just Van Dijk and whichever one of the three is fit, available. It's never Matip, Gomez, and it was Lovren. They rotated a fair bit. It was never a set two. That's a team that just won the Champions League. This notion that you need to have a set centre half pairing or a set back four to succeed, it's no longer really the case. Goldson's nailed on for the most part. I don't think we'll be asking Goldson to play 60 games again this season, though. I think we'll get the odd game where we're confident enough that he can be rested and bring in, start with Katic and Helander, for example, once Helander's up to speed. The best part about Katic, you were just pointing out, playing so well, and he has stepped up, I think, and improved even more. It means that the £3.5 million defender doesn't need to be rushed in, and that's going to help a lot. We know that we've already got good options there. It's not like last season where we spent a couple of £1 million on Gres, who wasn't fit, he wasn't ready. Jamie Murphy was injured, we'd sold Windass, and we almost felt as though we had to throw him in the minute he was fit, and it didn't work. It didn't work for him, and all the pressure was on him because he was a big signing. We don't need to do that with Helander, and it gives him a bit of time to get fit and get set, which is not a position we've been in very often when we've made money signings in recent years. No,
that is true, and you're right, he can adapt before we're really needing to use him week in, week out, which is always handy. Andy, you were at the match yesterday. As mentioned, Andy is a bus convener and always interested in how fans are treated at the game from that organisational point of view as well. So it's fair to say Andy takes, even if a run-of-the-mill game, a wee bit more interest in things like policing, stewarding, ticketing, etc. Not that you could have avoided it yesterday, because there were some very frightening scenes outside the ground. Kilmarnock's ticketing system failed. They have a new ticketing system and it failed. And it led to some rather chaotic scenes outside in which I think it's fair to say Kilmarnock panicked, Andy.
Aye, I don't think. Well, I'll tell you what. How many games have I been in my life?
Well,
hundreds, if not thousands. And I was, and yesterday there was something happened that I hadn't seen before, and even caught the attention of my 7-year nephew, because a flood of people came in during the game, and you ask yourself, what's happened? What's going on? And then they stand there and they're not going to their seats. the stewarding's totally overwhelmed, and you've actually got a situation where the stadium is well behaved, given that you've got 4,000 bears in the place, but it's actually a wee bit of organised chaos, and it's on the cusp of being disorganised, and that's not a good position to be in, and it points to wider problems, which I'm going to be quite honest with you, and I'll sound like a fucking Jobsworth here. You're right. If I see something wrong at the football that I think is potentially dangerous, I raise it to the official. I raise it to the police, and I get back to him because
he does. He writes letters and he goes and sees them. No, he does.
I send emails to the police, and the reason I do it is because we know what the cost of lack of safety at grounds is. We know that, and I'm not going to put myself and my family and people I love at risk because people in charge of football clubs and stewarding and the policing don't understand it. Football fans understand what happens at football grounds. They get a sense for what's happening. They get a sense for the way it should be, and the kind of collective thought is sometimes the only thing that stops things like yesterday tipping into a real problem. So I was outside obviously for the turnstile, but I didn't get caught up because we know that Kilmarnock is a bad place for arriving at the ground late, and I've often got tickets I've got to meet people for it, and it's a pain in the arse because I've got to say to them, listen, you need to be there early because I want to get in, because if I don't get in I'm going to miss kick-off. But yesterday was worse, and I mean, alarm bells start ringing when you walk to a turnstile with your ticket, you hand it through the wee turnstile bit to the person in there, and they've got a mobile phone with an app on it scanning the barcode, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, how the fuck is that going to work? But I'm going to tell you a story, a very quick story. September 2017, I wrote to the police, I emailed the Chief Inspector of Glasgow because at Partick Thistle the exact same thing happened, and there was a crush, and the only thing that stopped a crush turning into something bad was the good, sensible, and the goodwill and the good kind of humour of the Rangers fans that night, because they were sitting there waiting to miss kick-off. And I don't know, but we don't get much credit, but the Rangers fans have to take credit time and again for being put in those positions, because it happens at Pittodrie, it happens at Motherwell sometimes. It's not an isolated incident. And the authorities, because I went back to the police and I says, right, Partick Thistle, that's the second time it's happened. Do you know share information? Because this happened at Pittodrie. Because it's met with Police Scotland, is it not? And they say, yeah, we share information. Clearly not, because it happened again yesterday. And what happened yesterday differently? The Rangers fans took it in their own hands and they opened the gates and they stopped whatever they thought was going to happen happening. Now, what's worrying me now is that the media rhetoric is running with a fucking disabled roof getting smashed and our fans being on the pitch, as opposed to the bigger picture here, which is Scottish football policing, stewarding, ticketing system and planning is no fit for purpose, and somebody's going to get seriously hurt. I was there yesterday with a 71-year-old dad, my 7-year-old nephew, and my pregnant wife, right? So I'm in a position to feel a wee bit defensive about this because these games aren't safe anymore. My father knocked to our last game, the last game at Kilmarnock last year. Yesterday we scored the goals and my concentration was making sure that me and my nephew didn't get fucking smashed. The fans have got to take a wee bit of responsibility as well, because they are going over the score a wee bit. But the reason they're going over the score is, I've often said to you in jest that football matches are an organised school trip for adults, and if you give some of them an inch, they'll take a mile, and that's just the nature of things. And it's down to the police and the stewarding to make sure that there's a balance. Safe standing has to get introduced as soon as possible, because what we've got just now is unsafe standing. Nowhere you go in Scotland do we sit down. Does any away, same for Celtic, any away support generally doesn't sit down. So what happens is you've got a position where it's not actually safe. I want to stand at football, I want to be safe at the same time. This is a major problem, and I'll bump my gums as long as you want, but somebody's got to start listening.
What concerns me a little bit about the reaction, because I think Andy's covered, and we all know, Alex, why this is appalling, because we don't need to look far back into the sands of time to see what can happen. And you're never far, unfortunately, from tragedy if it's not managed correctly. What disappoints me is there's still this knee-jerk reaction from the media and people in authority to blame the supporters. It's the same every single time, and they focus on that rather than just accept the responsibility. So, well, you opened a gate. Well, yeah, because there was fears there was going to be a crush. No. You did it so people could get in for free. Come on. Seriously, why does it have to be adversarial? Why can't you just say, right, this went wrong and this is what we should have dealt with it? Why the tribalism? Why the immaturity?
Seems to be the default setting, doesn't it? It's not about, I don't mind opposing clubs or opposing fans having, a dislike for Rangers, but it goes beyond that, and then that then becomes, I think we've spoken about this before, and people think we're overreacting, but I'm not one for that, David. I think that's fair to say. I don't think Andrew is. I don't think you are either.
No.
Well, they're dehumanising. The Rangers fans, especially the away crowd, are very much just this group of supposed Neanderthals. Right? I mean, they've actually been described as that before by people, right? They're not really treated as people. It's this troublesome. Before they've even done anything wrong, they're criminals, and that's how that's the attitude towards them. So the problem we've got. It's not, no one's going to hold their hands up when the big bad Rangers fans were in any way involved, because it's clearly the big bad Rangers fans' fault every single time. I think we'll obviously come on to a couple of things. We're willing to accept that a couple of things where there was luck involved a lot yesterday, that there wasn't something serious happened. And I think everybody has to acknowledge that. The Rangers fans take their side of it, but Kilmarnock have to as well. They have to, and the media should be pressing them to do that. As Andy says, opened that gate up. That wasn't a Kilmarnock decision. That was an absolute necessity, or something bad's going to happen here. The roof to the disabled section. Now, the nonsense idea that it was deliberately destroyed. Right? Let's get that. Doesn't even deserve a
no.
It doesn't even deserve a response. Right? It doesn't. I mean, that was obviously not the case. But neither do I think, I'll admit that, kind of ignorance of it or not malice isn't much of a defence either. But I'll tell you what, having seen the footage, because obviously I just seen the aftermath of it, I never noticed it at the time. Having seen the footage since, that's not a roof.
No, it's not. It's,
do you know what I mean?
That's
like for it to fall through with as little happening on it as was happening. That was, again, I'm happy for everybody to be able to take responsibility there, for people to say, there was people that shouldn't have been doing that and we're fine with that. But Kilmarnock have to be able to, and it turns out that, they were warned over a year ago about the problems of this, and they were told that before the public were to use it, it should be replaced. And that never happened, and there you go. It was just sheer luck that someone wasn't seriously hurt yesterday. And absolutely everybody has to be able to hold their hands up and say that. But, as you pointed out, as Andy pointed out, it's just nobody needs to take responsibility if Rangers are involved. It just falls on us every single time.
Yeah, that's David, it. Let's get a jail-free card.
See, the thing is, and this is what's getting missed, it's the responsibility of the football clubs, the police and the stewarding and the licensing of the stadiums, because if you're risk assessing a football match, it is a variable that there'll be folk there with drink in them. It is a variable that there'll be folk there with fake tickets trying to get in. It's a variable that there'll be folk there with drugs. It's a variable that there'll be folk there with smoke bombs. That is a fact of life in terms of having football supporters in any one place, especially the numbers we carry. It is therefore their responsibility to mitigate for that, prevent it from happening, to make sure that I'm safe. It's just like saying a pub, you've got to have a factor in the fact that folk are going to be drunk and some might like to fight or some might have a knife or whatever. It's a licensing issue as well as the police and the stewarding and the clubs. I think Kelly have shut themselves. I think they have actually thought to themselves, we've made a complete and utter balls up of this yesterday, because I think things have come out even today about the council having looked at it previously. I think there's a lot of question about it. Somebody has got to take responsibility. And if we get fined for it, that is one thing, but you can't have total responsibility put on the fact that Rangers have had some fans that pushed the envelope too far because they were allowed to. This is a licensed environment. They shouldn't have allowed to. That's not down to us.
It's the old trial by sports scenes kicked right off as well, by the way, because, and look, maybe I'm being over, I don't think I'm overreacting, maybe I am. they went out their way to highlight, what was it, part of the commentary, wasn't it, in their highlights was get those idiots off the pitch or something like that. Aberdeen fans ran onto the pitch when they scored their 85th minute winner against Hearts yesterday. You wouldn't have known that from BBC's highlights. They very quickly cut away from the celebrations just to show you a couple of replays of the goals, and then suddenly the highlights were done, right? But there was Aberdeen fans on the pitch. Now, I don't actually have... if you're celebrating the last minute winners, it happens, and I don't really have a major issue with people running on the pitch. I think it's getting a little bit ridiculous up here personally, and that all stemmed from when Hibs done it, and then there's been a bit of a reaction to that.
See, this is my take with it, right? And just on the thing, couple of points. Firstly, that disabled section at Kilmarnock is a disgrace, and it's appalling that disabled supporters are put in something like that. And they were warned by East Ayrshire Council. That has come out today. They did know about it. They need to deal with it. They need to be held responsible. But don't dance on a roof, right? I mean, even if you think it's safe and it should be safe for you, don't do it. And I get, it's the heat of the moment. Okay, but just don't, right? The pitch invasion stuff, I'm going to sound like a grumpy old man here. See this? It's the heat of the moment. No, it isn't. I've been going to football for 30 years, right? This is a recent thing that's creeping in, and not at Rangers, not just at Rangers. It's happened at quite a few other clubs. You used to see it once in a blue moon, and it would be a massive result or a huge game or a really tense game, and that I got, right? That's hysteria. People get caught up in it. I've been at Rangers away games the last wee while where people have been talking about doing it, after an hour. If we get one right, we're going on. It's become a thing among the young team. The very young team, incidentally, I mean here, the kind of the very young teenagers. It's a daft boy thing, and we need to treat it like that. That means not saying, it's going to happen. It's not. It doesn't need to happen. It didn't for years. It doesn't. You can celebrate. You can go mental in the stands, incidentally. I mean, the last Old Firm game, the first Old Firm game at Ibrox last season, when Rangers scored, I ended up about 40 feet away from where I was to start with. But it was, I wasn't on the pitch. Nobody was. You don't need to do it. But it's become a thing. Look, I was on the pitch. I got my photo taken, social media, etc., etc. And we need to be grown up about it and say, look, it's mainly youngsters. Let's just get them told it can't happen. Don't do it. And it'll stop. We need to stop it being a fashionable thing. It's the happy slapping of football crowds at the moment. And I do think there's a bit of a kind of look at me element to it than that. But you cannot take these two incidents and then say, which means it was entirely all the fault of Rangers supporters. Typical, we knew it, let's move on. You can't do that because eventually someone is going to get badly hurt. And when that happens, it's the responsibility of the football club involved. It's the responsibility of the police. It's the responsibility of the stewards. This is your job. Whether or not you think it's fair, that is what your responsibility is. That's what you signed up for. And you have, as Andy pointed out, a duty of care to the people that are in that stadium. Will some people in a crowd of 10,000 yesterday maybe be a bit arseholish, maybe be a bit drunk? Yes. Will the majority? Not even close. And therefore, you have to treat everyone with respect. If there are people that are hell-bent on causing trouble, and I don't believe there are, then get them out. If there are people who are a bit daft, then let's get them told, don't do that. And let's not treat absolutely everything like the world is ending. Because the reaction to that just gets people's back up. It encourages the other clowns. And this is why sports scene, I think, is so pernicious. Because it encourages other fans to think, it's just Rangers fans, and dehumanise them. As you said, Alex, it's typical of that scum. It's fed by the national broadcaster, and that's pathetic, and it absolutely has to stop. Okay then, folks, moving on then, before we go any... Oh, incidentally, by the way, just on the hypocrisy of the press, today the front page of the Daily Record had an article titled, the headline said, Mayhem, and included criticism and horror at yet another pitch invasion. That's a quote. At the top of the page, they were advertising a magazine they were giving away, which was called Pitch Invader. honestly, it's like something from the Daily Mash.
Yes.
And that shows you the rank hypocrisy of the media in Scotland. And that's before you get to the Holocom PR piece on Saturday with Scott Brown, in which I don't know if anyone saw this, in which he said he would like a gay player to come out at Celtic so he could support him. And I thought, I wonder if Scott Brown's the type that walks up to old ladies in the street and goes, "Do you need to cross that road?" No, son, I was just... No, come on, Hen. No, son, seriously, I need to stay over here. You're getting all that fucking road, right? It'll be great. So there's going to be some pressure, I think, putting a Celtic player this week to make a big announcement. Might not be particularly one he was planning to do. But it's that sort of vapid nonsense that passes for journalism these days that leads to this crap, and I think is very unhelpful in the circumstances. But let's move on to Thursday night then, Andy. Off to Denmark. Tough game, but Rangers have been offered, I think, a reasonable route into the Europa League group stage this time, because if we win this, we've avoided the Serie A and the English clubs. And if we were to get through this, we'll play either Legia Warsaw, good side but struggling at the moment in Poland, or is it Ametronos?
I think that's it.
I'll do.
Oh, well, it's close enough. Not easy. None of these games would be easy, but not impossible.
No. The last word in the pitch invasion is that if you see me on the pitch, you'll know it's time to party. That's for sure.
Oh, I'm going on the pitch at 55. I'm a hypocritical twat, I admit that. And I'll just tell you just now, cops. But I'll promise not to do it if we score a goal, even in the last minute against, Hibs. But no, 55, forget it. All bets are off. Even if I'm not at the game, I'll be on the pitch. Trust me.
So back to Europe. Yeah, this is something. This route to the group stages is something we should be looking at and saying that is what we are capable of. This should not be beyond us. It's going to be tough. I think we've got a very tough tie in Denmark, to be perfectly honest with you, before we can even start thinking about Poland or Greece. I think Midfield have kind of built their reputation over a couple of years. They've got a bit of money behind them. They play in a competitive league, which is probably of a similar standard, probably better than our own. And they start the season a wee bit earlier than us, which always makes me wary of teams for Scandinavia, because they're just that wee bit sharper and further along the line than us. So I think we've got not a problem, but I think we've got a major task on Thursday to make sure that we come back to Ibrox with a real fighting chance. I would take any draw. You give me a away goal, I'd bite your hand off just now. I actually think, as Gerard has alluded to, that the fact we're playing against a team away from home first, and a team that probably expects to, they're probably sitting there thinking, well, we need to get a couple of goals up to take to Ibrox, because they'll know Ibrox could be formidable. But I think it'll be an interesting game. I think we're looking pretty good in terms of playing away from home, and the three midfielder thing you're talking about there earlier on at the top of the show, David and Alex, was, I think that's suited to Europe, because it just gives you that added dimension of protection, and then it allows your three forwards and then potentially your one of your fullbacks to overlap. I think that's ideal for away from home. So I don't know if he'll change the team much. I'll be interested to see if he changes it much for that team for yesterday. But the thing is, you've got options now. You could bring in Kamara, you could bring in Stuart Jones for a bit of counter-attacking pace. I'm confident, but I think it's going to be very, very tough. And then if we get through, I think we can beat either Legia or your Greek team that you just so finely pronounced, David.
The Greek lads, yeah, as they will be known on this show. Alex, if there's one thing I want to see from a Rangers team away from home in Europe, and over the years, and I'm talking excellent Rangers sides as well, but over the years I haven't seen enough, and that's, don't be frightened of the football. Treat it with a bit of love when you get it, because too often in Europe we can be guilty of hot potato.
Yes. Do we all remember, certainly during the Manchester run, the Sporting Lisbon away game, where about 20 minutes in we looked like a properly good team keeping the ball, and I think every one of us was like, what the hell's going on here? Because we were so used to it.
We've had great players over the years, but we've gone away from home and just haven't retained the ball the way we would normally, whether it's the heightened expectations, but I always think, it's different in Europe. You give the ball away if you're Rangers in the SPFL, you'll get it back pretty sharpish, let's be honest, more often than not. You give it away in Europe, you might not see it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but interesting with this one though, because the teams in Denmark, that league's quite physical as well. Plays a bit like the Scottish League. Andy was right in saying, a bit more depth there, a bit more competition there, but they are quite. The teams there are based upon their kind of physical attributes as well. So in some respects, that's an interesting draw for us. I'm not sure. I haven't seen an awful lot of them. I've been trying, get highlights and stuff since we drew them because I was pretty confident of beating Progress. But I've not seen a lot, if I'm honest. People that I trust describe them as slightly better than Osijek, but not as good as Maribor from last season. But we had to play, if we were honest, we had to play well to beat Maribor. We had to have a really good game.
We had to play really well to beat Maribor, and then Alan McGregor had to play like Superman.
Yeah, no, away leg, we got a bit of luck, yeah, if we're honest. 9, I think it's 9 away games for Gerrard now in Europe. There's been 2 wins, Osijek away, which on reflection, good battling win, but we carried some luck in that one, and then St Joseph's. So there's a little bit still to be proven there. I know we've had some good performances. The result away, for example, to Villarreal was a cracker, and I know that it's harsh because most of those draws have been good results on the face of it because they've got us through the qualifier. But yeah, there's still a little bit to, if we feel as though we want to be in a strong position from the first leg, still a little bit to be proven that we're able to go and do that. Like Andy, I don't know what he's going to do with the team. Plenty of options to rotate, but I don't know if there'll be too many changes. Can't imagine Aribo dropping out, can you? For example,
unless only for tactical purposes.
Yeah.
I could maybe see, and this is maybe a bit out of left field, I could maybe see Jack Davis Kamara with Aribo playing on the left hand side.
Yeah, where Arfield was.
Yeah, where Arfield was, and
possibly leaving Arfield on the right. Yeah,
or Ojo and Morelos. But definitely, I think it will be the guys who there will be the don't give anything away mentality will kick in.
Yeah, technically, yeah. I think we will try and, as you say, keep possession better than we have before and keep the ball and stuff. Try to dominate the game that way, and then hopefully they don't seem to score a lot of goals at the moment. They're not letting many in, but they're not scoring many either. Suggests it could be a tight game. Any sort of result that keeps us in it, bringing them back to Ibrox, where we've proven at least, we've had a few very, very strong European performances at Ibrox under Gerrard. So we at least know we've got some confidence there, and also the carrot of a good draw. I think Andy mentioned right at the start of the programme about that attitude, that belief when we went 1 each against Kelly. And last season, as you pointed out, David, there was times if it was like that in the last 10 minutes, we sort of just accepted it. And I think part of that was because I'm not sure the squad ever truly believed they could win the league. And then this season, I think they maybe do. And then they've seen Celtic win comfortably on the Saturday, and they're looking at dropping points this early. And there was both a kind of, there's this notion behind in their heads of we can win this thing, and then that becomes we better win this game, and that can be a driving factor. The fact that we made the Europa League last season could be a big thing here, where our team just has that little bit of extra belief of, no, do you know what, we are capable of getting through this. This isn't a tie that we are not. This isn't Villarreal, for example, where we got 2 draws off them last season. If Villarreal were playing Midfield in the qualifiers, they wouldn't be worried about it in the way that we are, for decent reason. But we matched them for the most part last season. So yeah, God, it's really, really tight, isn't it? It's just, even not knowing that much about them, just all the history of Rangers' performances away from home in Europe does make you wonder how this is going to go.
I'm looking for. I'd rather be in it than not.
Yes.
Put it that way. So no, I'm looking forward to it. Now, this is today, if you're listening to this when it drops, our 9th birthday here at Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast. Yes, 9, and what a journey it's been from a few idiots sitting round a table in my kitchen to the fully flung independent media empire you see before you today. And with that in mind, if you want to continue to help us grow and you aren't already, then why not think about becoming a subscriber? Go to our Patreon site. That's patreon.com/Heart and Hand. That's patreon.com/Heart and Hand, where you will get tons and tons and tons of new Rangers content. You will love it. You will be like a child in a Rangers-related sweetie store. It's just $1.99 per month to start, and you will love it. Please go, sign up, help us continue to grow. But lads, as it is our 9th birthday, the English transfer window closes on Thursday, and I think therefore there's a suspicion that a few things for a lot of clubs will be done this week because English clubs will be making decisions. If I could say to you, doesn't need to be a specific player, maybe just a position, but if you were to receive a birthday present for our 9th birthday, what would you like to see coming into the squad this week, Andy?
Another striker.
Another striker. Well, we've got 2 good ones.
I know that, and the reason I would like another striker is I'm a great believer that you can never have enough firepower in a league campaign, and I think when we look back at title-winning teams we've had. We had a Jelavic, we had a Purcell, you can argue we had a Morelos. I just feel that this season will be decided by firepower. And I think Celtic, yesterday was, I don't think you can read into St Johnstone games. St Johnstone are absolute shit this weather. I just think that we could do a wee bit more one more option up front. And I'm being greedy here. Right. But if you told me would I want Ryan Kent back, or would I want a really good multi-million-pound striker, I'd probably take the latter.
Alex?
Funnily enough, I'd probably take the former. But yeah, that's where I would kind of fall a kind of wide forward. I'm looking suddenly at the options there. I think we all assumed that Jamie Murphy would come back fit and firing, and that doesn't seem to be happening at the moment. Either that or Gerrard doesn't feel as though he's there. I don't know which it is. I've no idea. But he's been involved not picked in the European squad yet at all. Not that involved so far. Had he come back the way he was, I would have been probably looking elsewhere. But Candace away from us now. I don't know how you guys felt, but watching the Kelly game, there was a part of me like, wouldn't you minded having him coming off the bench in this one? And yeah, I think there's a wee gap there. Unless Jones and Stewart prove to be better than I expect them to be. Yes, a bit of negativity there. I do apologise. But unless they turn out to be better than I expect them to be, and I hope that they do, I'm willing to wait and see. I can see why Ryan Kent's still a target for them. And if we can't get him, somebody like that. Interestingly, David, this might be the first time in a while. The English transfer window deadline coming up on Thursday. We've got the game on Thursday, and we don't seem particularly worried, do we, about losing anybody?
No. I think that there are really only 2 players I think would be significant targets, and there doesn't appear to be a big demand for them. But we will find out, obviously, on Thursday night if Alfredo Morelos doesn't travel. But that is something, incidentally, that English clubs maybe means they have to move a wee bit earlier.
Yeah.
For Alfie, that they couldn't leave it to the Thursday because he'll be in Denmark. They'll need to do it on the Wednesday. If I can pick one, I'll echo Alex. I'd like a really good, creative, wide forward type to come in, just because we've lost Candace, we currently have lost Ken. So one more, please, just to balance that up. Okay, folks, that's everything from us here on Heart and Hand this week. Just time to thank our executive producers in London, Mike Lee and Paul Myers, and to thank my 2 guests this evening, the Fun Bus's very own Venga boy, Mr. Andy McGowan.
Thanks, good pleasure to be on.
And Positivity's own Alex Staff.
Thank you, gentlemen. Always a pleasure.
And well done, though. Your anti-Jordan Jones agenda nearly managed to get through the show without it, but it popped out.
I know.
You're so close. You're so close. Okay, folks, we'll be back here next Monday. Until then, have a cracking week, and I hope your team wins. See you later. Bye.